Hi, and welcome to another episode of NCBA's Coffee Break. I'm Nathan Willner, your host. And today, as part of our Getting to Know Your NCBA Leaders, I'm excited to have with us a member of the Board of Directors, Crystal Duplay. So, welcome, Crystal, to NCBA Coffee Break.
Hello, thank you for having me.
Um, let's just get right into it. Why is serving as an NCBA leader such an important part of your professional life, and how does it affect your practice of law?
Being a part of the NCBA and is an important part of my professional life because it keeps me connected to my colleagues and it allows me to stay abreast of changes and trends in the industry. Um, Being a leader in the organization allows me to help influence and direct where some of our policy goes.
It does. The question is a lot of people that I know from the industry and many years being practicing debt collection litigation myself, people say, is that what you wanted to do when you went to law school? And most of the time the answer is no. So the question is, what drew you to the practice of creditors' rights law? Like, how did you get into this thing?
So when I was in law school, I went to law school part-time and worked full-time. And I had a friend who was going to law school full-time and working full-time. So he was graduating about a year ahead of me, despite starting at the same time. And he worked at a creditors' rights law firm as a paralegal. And the job I had was not at a law firm. And he's like, "Hey, I graduated a year ahead of you. Do you want me to give the firm your resume? And so you can get some law firm experience?" And I said, "Sure." Um, that was in 2007, and
And
here I
uh,
am.
and that's it. And so once you got into this practice, you stayed with it the whole time.
Yeah,
Um,
I've done everything. I started as a foreclosure attorney during the housing crisis in 2009, 10. And then I've done commercial mechanics liens, and then pretty much every area I've dabbled in after that.
Right, and you raise a good point that creditors' rights is so diverse. People, tend to put it in one category or the other, but it's so much more than just debt collection or, you know, uh, credit card debt. There's bankruptcy and administrative law and regulatory law. So the question is, in your tell us a little bit about your practice. I mean, how many lawyers work in your law firm? Do you work in multiple states? Um, you know, Tell us a little bit about the kind of work you do.
We have, looking down at my cheat sheet so I get the numbers right, we have 9 attorneys. We are in 6 states, Ohio being the primary focus. We are also in Kentucky, Michigan, Wisconsin, Indiana, and Texas. Um, so that's 6 states. We handle pretty much everything, not a ton of commercial, but purchase debt, credit card, loan, medical. Um, so
So there's a lot going on, and I think it's just interesting from a perspective of when even other attorneys get to see the kind of work that NCBA member firms do. They're very impressed with the level of compliance and, quite frankly, the complexity of being in multiple states and being able to juggle it all and do a great job at it. So it's really interesting to hear how you came into this industry, stuck with it, and it's really expanded into all different areas. So with that, what would you say the best advice you ever got was?
So the job that I was at before joining the First Creditors Life Law Firm, my boss at that firm, that company said, just do what's right. If you make a mistake, do what's right. Fall on the sword, fix it. If something's completely unfair, do what's right to make it fair. And that's something that I don't know why it stuck with me so much, but even outside of my professional life, just do what's right.
Yeah, doing the next right thing is that's great advice. And again, within this practice area, I think that is something that we hear from many of our members is that doing the right thing and being compliant, and making sure that consumers are treated properly is the primary goal. And I think that would surprise a lot of people. So thank you for mentioning that. Talking about doing things right, everything now is AI, artificial intelligence. You have a machine that could do things for you, whether it's doing it right or not, who knows? Has AI changed the way you practice, the way your firm does things? How has that encroached upon your day-to-day so far?
It has. We use AI to help programming workflows to offer efficiencies. We use it in decision making, like what are the auto repossession laws in these states and citations, and you put out a table that you can download and use to create workflows and checklists and validate and things like that.
Yeah, no, it's pretty neat. But again, it's no better or worse than an assistant. And just like a lawyer has a responsibility to supervise their staff, that's just like another worker almost. And so it makes life easier, but you still have to double check it. So glad to hear that you're using it and you're at the cutting edge of new technology. And that is something that I notice among our members as well, because a lot of the work we do is technology driven. You need the right systems and processes in place. That we are many times the first to market on lots of new law firm management kind of technology. So we're getting to the end of our cup of coffee, so to speak. And so thinking about, you mentioned your law school experience, but thinking back to those days, what advice would you give a third-year law student? Or basically, what advice would you have wanted when you were a third-year law student based on everything you know today?
Let go of your ego. Not everyone can be top of the class, and there is no shame in not being at the top of the class. And I know people in my graduating class that were, and they were not doing trials when I was doing trials. Like my own first chair trials, I was doing within 9 months of graduating law school, and they were still researching and thinking and having managing partners proof motions before they file them. And you get a lot more experience in the creditors' rights arena than you do at some of those bigger firms. And build relationships with the courts and judges. If you have a decent relationship and you're usually on time, that one time you get stuck in traffic and call them and say, hey, I'm going to be 10 minutes late, you don't get the lecture. But if you are chronically late, you will get the lecture, or worse, the court may dismiss your case for not showing up. So,
Sure.
yeah. And
Well,
success in court is not always measured by walking away with a judgment. Sometimes it is treating others with kindness and talking to the defendant like they're a person and not like they are a number or something like that.
Yeah, like you said, doing the next right thing is really key. And look, there's many cases I thought I should have won that I lost, and many cases that I lost that I should have won. So doing the right thing is key, because you'll be back in front of that judge again. You'll be dealing with the opposing counsel again, and your reputation is something that's very difficult to repair if you get a bad one. So with that, Crystal, thank you so much for joining us today and giving us a little bit of insight and background about the things that you do and why being part of NCBA has made your life better and your practice of law even more efficient. And hopefully you'll come back another time and we'll talk about some other legal issue and and I just want to thank you for the work you do on the board, and especially in the realm of education. You've been on the education committee and chaired it and been a leader in that area. So thank you so much for all the work you do there. And thank you to our listeners, and we will wish everyone a great day.